The time has finally come for the tables to swiftly and irreversibly turn. For over 12 long internet years, history tells us that for those with questions about delicate matters surrounding game, film, food, or style, there's only one theory crafter out there, diligent, dutiful, and determined enough to satiate the appetites of us most lore-hungry. He's the man with the plan, the Matt with the Pat,
Matthew Patrick.
But what do we really know about this strange internet being, this MatPat? All we really see on YouTube is what he wants us to see. But after careful scrutiny watching his videos over the years, I have managed to piece together a nearly watertight theory of the truth behind the scenes. So, theorists, join me as I give the proverbial table its turn. Welcome to the pilot of Theorist Theory. One cannot doubt that MatPat is a thorough theorizer. Crafting his theories, watching countless videos, playing the games for hours, reading official and unofficial lore online and in print. Just where does he find the energy? We're all fully aware of how overboard and in-depth his hyperbolic hypotheticals are. He's got ideas bouncing around his head like a madman. I don't just play games, he thinks. I watch movies too. So he adds more channels. I eat food, he thinks. I wear clothing? He realizes food theories, style theories, more. Yes, I am fully aware he has a team of researchers now, but I don't think for a second this means he's sitting idly by, not also doing theory crafting of his own. He even admitted as such during his most recent behind-the-scenes video. I postulate that these theories are the work of a hyper-stimulated mind. It would take a very awake and very alert mind to function at such a capacity for such a long time. How might one support such extended mental strain? I don't think a single one of us suspects any sort of drug habit from dear MatPat. So it clearly must be something else of a less unscrupulous variety. One might leap to the conclusion of excessive amounts of energy drinks, but that is also off the mark. But you're on the right track with caffeine. I must remind the most meticulous of viewers that caffeine is a very prominent alertness-boosting chemical that would assist in research endeavors such as the ones described above. And what beverage does MatPat profess to consume more than any other?
Diet Coke.
In true MatPat theory style, we must take a hike down the math path and figure out some estimates for how much of that stuff the man has consumed over the years. In his behind-the-scenes video from April 2021, he self-declares that he's consumed several swimming pools of Diet Coke over the previous 10 years.
I've drank several swimming pools worth of Diet Coke.
Now, Merriam-Webster defines several as being more than two but fewer than many, and many as being one of a large but indefinite number. But vague numerical descriptors like few, several, and many are relative to the particular collection of items they're describing. In this case, we're talking about the number of swimming pools of Diet Coke a single human could conceivably drink in the span of a decade. In our case, 7 or 8 pools feels like the low end of many, 3 or 4 feels like a few, and a nice cozy 5 pools fits squarely nestled in the crease of several. Now that we've established roughly how many pools of Diet Coke we're looking at, next up is how big are the pools? He didn't specify Olympic pools in that clip, and judging from his tone and the fact that the image he used was him at home with his family, I think it's reasonable to assume that his thoughts were on an average backyard family swimming pool. Hello? Now, if we're just going with your typical round above grounder, some Googling seems to confirm that the average diameter of one of those bad boys is 24 feet with an average depth of 50 inches or 4.17 feet. Converting that to volume, you're looking at 1,806,301 of your very best fluid ounces.
You're simply the best.
Measuring that in standard size cans of Diet Coke containing 12 fluid ounces, we're sitting pretty at 150,525 cans of Diet Coke per pool. Multiplying that by our established 5 several pools leaves us with 752,625 cans of Diet Coke over the 12 years since his channel started. That is 62,719 cans a year, 5,227 cans a month, 174 cans a day, and accounting for an average of 8 hours of sleep or 16 wakeful hours in a day, the final total is just under 11 cans an hour for 12 years straight! That's clearly an unfathomable amount of Diet Coke for one person. But with 4 channels worth of theories to produce on a weekly basis, it's clear he'd also need
Gratuitous amounts of energy.
But drinking that much Diet Coke can't be without side effects. Can it? We hear it in every video.
Hello, Internet!
It's literally the primary means with which we bring MatPat into our homes with each upload. But why is it that he talks the way that he does? A normal tone interspersed with these low, strained grunts. Hearing it makes me wonder, what is it really that makes him talk that way? Now, he claims it's an affect he puts on that he learned from watching other successful YouTubers.
They would do this thing where they would kind of, I call it grinding their voice.
But I think that's just a cover. There are only a few situations I could think of where someone's voice would naturally sound like that. One would be lifting something heavy, but it really doesn't make sense for MatPat to be forcing himself to lift heavy objects while recording his VO. Next, I thought it might be old man noises. You know, the sounds people make as they're getting into and out of chairs. But MatPat isn't old, and even then, I wouldn't suspect he'd repeatedly be standing up and sitting down while trying to record. No, it would have to be something both involuntary and untimely. Maybe some sort of chronic thing. Well, the third option I considered fits both of these criteria, and that's grunts of effort. Let's say, due to digestive turmoil. That's right! I believe there is strong evidence here to the theory that MatPat records his VO while sitting on and potentially using the can.
What?
Delivering his lines through various exertions he can't avoid due to a colon almost as overburdened as his recording schedule. When you gotta go, you gotta go. And when you gotta record, you gotta record. And when they happen at the same time, you get this.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory.
But I'm not just pulling this theory out of my tuchus. Oh no. In one of Markiplier's Power Wash Simulator videos, he summons MatPat to make a lore video for the game, and in his response video, we see MatPat emerging to the summoner's call from a literal toilet. Why would he choose that location as the place he'd most likely be responding to a summoning from? Because people pull references from personal experience, that's why. That's where he likely was sitting to record the video.
I do that.
Coincidence? There is no such thing. The vast majority of MatPat's theory videos don't involve him being on camera after all. He has a predominantly voiceover channel. So it's the perfect disguise for all those days of indigestion when it's not just the theories and ideas that are flowing as swiftly as the waters of the Mississippi.
What a disgusting, dirty river.
Clearly, every other time you've seen him do it not on the can is just to keep up the charade. And on that lovely image, we move on to the final portion of today's programming. Now, having a massive addiction to Diet Coke cannot be an easy prospect, especially with the amount he's consuming as calculated previously. Despite there being a change.org petition to get Diet Coke to sponsor MatPat, they have failed to do so, meaning that he ain't getting that liquid black Diet Gold for free, so he's gotta head out and buy it, or find an easy and cheap local source for it that doesn't hurt his bank account. Enter my final theory, ladies and gentlemen, the true background behind his appearance at the diner in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. As I have just pointed out, any form of excess consumption of a specific product requires an abundant and easily available private source. A dealer, so to speak, for his chug of choice. A chug dealer.
Well, someone had to do it.
For a McDonald's fanatic like MatPat, I would suggest that restaurant drink fountains are the most abundant source of cheap and renewable big gulp-sized refills of Diet Coke available to him. Yes, he could go out and buy more Coke, but as mentioned above, that isn't cheap, and it would take up a lot of space in his home. We're talking swimming pools of Coke here, remember. To those of you out there that may or may not have worked in a restaurant or fast food setting, one of the very few perks afforded to people in those positions is the freedom to partake in a nearly unlimited, within reason, quantity of fountain drinks. Have some during your shift, enjoy some during your break time, take a big cup home with you. Now, I'm not suggesting MatPat would just start working at McDonald's to get free fountain drinks. No, that would be ridiculous. But not for the reasons you think. His large fan base already knows that MatPat is a McDonald's fanatic. So for him to get a job at one, near enough to his own home, would involve too much public recognition and attention while he's trying to sneak his tasty beverage. So where might someone with a well-known face looking for free drinks go to get those free drinks with a much lower chance of being spotted? Why, a hole-in-the-wall diner, of course. So that places MatPat as a waiter in a diner. But what about Five Nights at Freddy's? With all the Five Nights at Freddy's lore that MatPat has put out there, all the books he's read and ARG and full release games he's spent hours upon hours in, it stands to reason the two have spoken to each other on a more than casual basis. I'm sure when the topic of the film came up, so too did the topic of MatPat being in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And as they were discussing him being in the movie, I'm sure they discussed what role he might play. And when looking through the script for the perfect place to fit himself in, MatPat saw the diner scene and knew right then and there that that waiter cameo is the role he was born to play.
It's just a theory.
After all, it would be the perfect cover. We'd all see MatPat as a waiter in a diner, we'd think it was just a cameo in a film that he'd obviously have some sort of part in, and we'd all walk away from it thinking that was that. It was just a bit part, we'd say. He's not actually a waiter, we'd convince ourselves. Well, the evidence points to the fact that he very likely is a waiter, and all because of his unquenchable thirst for the dietest of cokes. Now I hear you saying, "But Legend Daniel, you just told us that he's a really busy person and records all his voiceover while sitting on the can. How could he possibly be able to also hold down a part-time job working as a waiter in a diner with that sort of intestinal affliction?" The solution is simple. He brings his microphone with him to work. Diners have washrooms, certainly even private ones for staff, I'd bet. MatPat even admitted himself that he travels everywhere with his microphone, even subtly dropping the hint that he takes his microphone everywhere he goes.
In all seriousness, recording is a huge part of my life and it follows me wherever I go.
Everywhere you go, MatPat? This theory is just proving itself at this point. So you see, friends, it all boils down to one thing. The theories, the voice, and the opportunities and changes through the years, it all comes down to one incontrovertible thing that has been slap in front of our faces on his channel since day one, equally as consistent in each video as MatPat himself. Diet Coke. We still get amazingly high quality videos that obviously have a lot of love and detail put into them, and it's clearly serving him well too. So to MatPat I say, keep stalwart on your aspartame path, caffeined up, grunting through the discomfort, and powering through. We'll all be here to watch. Now, could I be wrong about all this? It's not beyond the realm of possibility, but hey, these are all just theories. Inane theories. Regardless of what the truth may be behind the scenes, I look forward to each stellar new video the Theorist team puts up for us and wish MatPat, Stephanie, and the crew all the best of success into the future. For now, and until the next video, my friends, be legendary.